Hi, I'm Lynn Morgan. I'm your slipper-shod pastor with my sneakers on today and hanging around in church. I grew up in a very religious household, quite pious, and so I was instructed by my parents when they sent me off to school to pray before I took tests. And because I was then, and probably still am, a person pretty anxious about performance, I always prayed that God would just calm me down and help me be able to recall the things that I'd studied and to do my best. I did that routinely. At some point in my youth, I remember thinking to myself, I wonder what would happen if I didn't pray before a test. And so I thought, I'll conduct an experiment, and prayer will be the variable. And so the next test that I had couldn't be just a little quiz, it had to be a real test. I decided that I would not pray. I would explicitly decide not to pray before that exam. And then I waited for the results of the exam, and they were, as you are not surprised to know, just about the same as they would have been had I prayed for the exam. You know, I was the kind of student that I was. And so my experiment was, well, inconclusive, except it made me feel different. And even at that tender age, I began to realize something quite important about prayer. That prayer is not a negotiation with God to get good stuff. And that prayer is not so much about altering circumstances as much as it is an acknowledgement, an affirmation, and a strengthening of our relationship with God. So there's no question that praying did calm me down. It did make me feel more at peace, not because there was a magic about the prayer, but because the very act of praying reminded me of the truth of my relationship with God. That whether I was praying or not, whether I was thinking about God or not, in the moments that I was born until the time I could be conscious of anything like God, God was sustaining me and helping me. God was my rock and my fortress, whether I was talking to God about that or not. But talking to God about it made it first and foremost in my heart and mind. And it changed the way that I walk through the world, not just taking tests, but in every way. I think that's kind of what is being affirmed in one of our Psalms for the day. This is from Psalm 71. The psalmist says, I have been sustained by you ever since I was born. From my mother's womb, you have been my strength. My praise shall be always of you. Whether we remember, whether we've ever learned, whether God is a complete stranger to us or whether we've been walking with God all our lives, God is indeed our strength, our fortress, one in whom we can rely always. In our prayer and in our life of faith, we acknowledge God's presence with us, and we give God praise always. And because of that, we can know peace. Amen.